Hi everyone, it's Shay here from Claiming Feminine, and I've had a juicy talk with Amrita, a beautiful sister. She's a relationship and intimacy expert, and she works with women to help women really spark that passion and that feeling of fullness within themselves so that they can bring this into relationships they're having, whether they're in one or looking for one. We had a really potent discussion about how to stay in your feminine essence, even when you're a boss lady, how you can stay in that polarity of your feminine and masculine in a relationship, especially if you're working from home or working around them, and also just what it means to be fully alive and awakened in a relationship as well. So, this is for everyone, whether you're in a relationship or not, you'll really feel how this is relevant for you as a woman. So, enjoy our discussion.
Let's dive in. I want to hear first off, like how you've kind of transitioned to doing this work a lot more. Because I know I've been around and I've been seeing you like brewing this and creating this to be a lot more clear in like the path that you're taking, and it feels really clear
Mm-hmm.
the path that you're on. So what is your work first off? Like what would you call it? And then how did you kind of get to this point of what you're offering?
Sure. So my work is I'm a relationship and intimacy coach, and what I really see as my mission is that I'm a bridge between mainstream and the kind of spiritual Bali, like alternative community world in which I live and you live.
Yeah.
And the way that I came to that was that I spent like many years living in London, in Australia, being in the corporate world, and then I went on my sort of spiritual journey, and I ended up in living in Bali, where tantra and sexuality and all these kinds of ideas are sort of like just everyday things. Like it seems like every man and his dog and his girlfriend is like a tantrika, and
Totally.
we're talking about inner child and shadows and chakras and this kind of stuff all day long, and it becomes sometimes you forget that this isn't a mainstream thing. And I went to New York to go to a conference called Global Woman Conference. um, I guess it was last year or the year before, and they were talking in this conference about like success and money and like building their businesses up, but nobody was talking about sexuality or sexual energy. And I was like, wow, this is a really big piece of our
Mm.
power, like the feminine aspect, our feminine power. And and nobody's having this conversation, and I felt like it was a really integral part of women standing up in their power and also like being able to manifest the success that they want. So when I went back to Bali, that was when the light bulb sort of went off, and I was like, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to bring this work that's here is really in the public, in the conversation, and bring that work to back to the West in a
Mhm.
way that's easy to understand, in a way that grounds it into like what people can relate to in their everyday experience, and tools and things that they can use in their everyday experience where they live in London or Australia or the States.
Right. So do you work mostly with women or women and men?
It's in person. It's a mix, and then online, mostly with women. I have worked with some men, and I do work with couples, but singles tend to generally more be women.
Yeah. And when a woman comes to you to like want to work on this, what are the type of things that she's struggling with that makes her come to you? Like what are the main things that you keep hearing that women are needing help on?
Yeah, that I love that question. So the main things are um, that they really struggle to meet a partner that they can have a loving and committed relationship with.
Right.
And that generally comes back to there being like a struggle with feeling worthy, of feeling like that deep sense of self-love within themselves. I also find women often are struggling to connect to their sort of their femininity and their sensuality. So they've gone way more into the masculine, which is what like the Western world really promotes, like in the working world. And they've kind of lost that connection with their feminine selves. So I would say they're the two main things. And then all the, the fears and the limiting beliefs and the insecurities that stem from those issues of not feeling worthy and not feeling connected to their feminine selves.
Right. And what way do you work with them exactly? Like what kind of format, and what things do you dive into? What practices does this involve?
Sure. So I work one-on-one online coaching. I also have a group course that is beginning on the 8th of January. So it's open to come into until the 5th of January, which is called Overcoming Obstacles to Love. So that's a group course for women only. And then I work in person as well. But really the types of things that I do, I'm about like going in to like, let's not just give a band-aid solution. Like, let me not just throw some like little tip and trick, like Tinder 101 out there for you. I want to get to the bottom of things. And this is what I've always been like my whole life, is like, let's get under the hood of the car. Let's see what's really going on. Let's get right down into the bottom of like, what is your deepest fear? Where does that come from? And let's heal it at a like foundational level. Let's heal it at a cellular level. Let's heal it like at a soul level, so that you don't keep bumping up against it, because that's what I see so often is it's a cycle. Like when people like are like, oh, let me just use this tool or this trick, it appears to fix it for a moment, but then they get that cycle coming up and up again. So what the tools that I use are focused on the going right into the heart of it. So I look at like inner child work. I look at like soul retrieval. I look at like what is your deepest fear? What is your true desire? And working back from like, what do you want to have happen? And where are you now? And where's the disparity between you want and where you are? And where's the disparity also in the actions that you're taking every day? Because when you're stuck in a loop, you'll be taking actions that don't align with what you want. And so it keeps going like this. So I'm about like, let's get everything aligned so that your actions are meeting your goal, and then you're bringing that into like your reality, effectively manifesting it, which sounds sometimes I feel like so woo-woo, but it's just about like aligning all your actions, your beliefs, your feelings, your thoughts, everything, your emotions with what you actually want. And then it comes quite easily. So that's what I'm teaching.
That's beautiful.
In a nutshell.
You expressed it very well. I love how you say alignment too, because like I touch on this so much. There's such a palpable feeling when you're in alignment, where everything's clearer. Your mind's just clear. You can make decisions. You can do the things. You have energy. Like you can step back and see like the actions you were taking, see the life you were living, and like through new eyes. And it really does, like, it's like a course correction, and we don't realize we're misaligned until we're like standing kind of aside from it, and we're able to look and be like, whoa. And that standing aside from it to see that we're misaligned, often it's someone else that can help us with that, like that they provide a mirror for us to see. So I love how you say it's not a band-aid fix, because that never works. That's fixing actions, but actions are coming from the root of something else. And one, like, if you don't fix the root, if you don't tend to that part of that growth, then it's going to keep on bearing the same sort of fruits. Like it's not going to be healthy. It's not going to be aligned. But if you fix that root of where it's from, it will grow in alignment. And it's just like this boom feeling. And yeah, I felt that so deeply when I stepped away from teaching yoga to really step into doing this work. And it was like the moment I made that decision and then shared it and did the action to stop, not just make the decision, but like do the thing and quit that job, was like boom. And I felt so clear about my path then. Have you felt like a similar feeling of like when it was like, it's many moments I feel like of coming back into alignment, but was there like a moment that you feel that like boom, oh, I'm aligned now kind of thing in your life?
Yeah, there have been many moments, and there have been moments like often I feel that has come to me when it's been like a really big decision I needed to make, like when I knew I needed to leave Australia to move to London. Right. Even though my reason for moving wasn't actually, when I look back, the reason that I needed to. You know, sometimes we have like this idea like, oh, I'm going here for this. Like I was like, I'm moving to London for my career. But actually what I was doing was moving to London to have a different experience that would teach me certain lessons that I needed to learn to eventually get me on my path. Yeah. So I had that feeling when I got there, like, yes, this is it. Like every single cell in my body was like, this is what you're doing. Yeah. And it didn't mean that it was necessarily easy when I got there. And it was actually like within a few months, things had kind of come into, you know, play, which is pretty good for moving to a whole new country. Mm-hmm. But it didn't necessarily always go exactly the way I had thought it was going to go. But everything in my energy was like, this is it. And it was the same when I left London. It was the same when I had that light bulb moment of like, oh, this is my path. Yeah. You know, like coming back from New York. So yeah, and I think that it's like sometimes when we have to make those really big decisions, it's like the universe, if we go a little bit more like universe, it's like universal energy kind of giving you like that, like pat on the back, like, yeah, you're on the right track. Yeah. And then stuff can come in, right? There's always going to be challenges, but also understanding, having been in that space where you feel that full alignment, it's like now you know what that feels like. Then you know if you're not in that. And I think that that's what a lot of people struggle with, is they've never really been in that space of alignment. So that's why they don't realize that they're out of it. They're out of it. Yeah, and that's totally our role, right? Is to be like, hey, this is what alignment feels like over here. This thing that you think is a fairy tale, like that you think is like a myth that doesn't exist, actually does exist. Yeah. And you can actually have this. Yeah. You know, like this is actually possible for every single person. It's just about doing the work and committing and being, you know, taking that bold move and that being brave enough to do the work to get yourself there. Exactly. And this flows on really well actually to what I want to ask you about now, which is like, I feel that, you know, I would feel similar, I assume, to you in that we hold space a lot for people, women. We're working as well in like that feminine energy and in that the different facets of feminine energy. So there's like, it's so dynamic, you know, what we do embody. But in doing that, we're holding a structure and we're holding that space, and we're having to work in a way that is more structured and it is more focused. So it is harnessing more of our masculine energy, which is great because in my work, you know, I'm really sharing how we need both. It's not one or the other, how we're always dancing between them. Right. And the masculine structure supports our feminine to come through. So in that, like, I know for myself that there's even more need to be consciously tapped into what energetic state I'm in my life when I'm doing this work with women, because I can be at once, you know, holding the structure for them and helping them to connect with their feminine, and
be in my masculine essence a little more for doing that, and then, you know, finish the call that I'm on and go into my life with my partner and have to make that switch again if I want to come back into a feminine state and kind of relax out of that structured state. And I have to be a lot more conscious of that. Otherwise, you know, I get exhausted and I feel that kind of rigidity to come in my thinking if I'm too much in that state. So I really want to ask how you are able to balance this for yourself, because you are, like I shared with you before, you're a very kind of inspiring boss lady who's creating her her work and her path in such a powerful way, and that needs, you know, harnessing more of our masculine, but you're also at the same time teaching something that is something you're living, and it's about this like being in touch with your feminine essence and being in beautiful polarity with your partner. How do you maintain that balance?
Yeah, it's I feel that well, for one, I mean, in one way, I have like a little cheat because I live in Bali. So that
Yes.
I have to say, it does make it a little easier to get into your feminine when you live in like a tropical sort of paradise.
Yeah.
But I feel that like I always make time for self-care. So I do, for me personally, like I like to do things like have a manicure, go to yoga, like, you know, sometimes put on makeup, like little things that it's not like, oh, I go off and meditate with the trees for an hour. It's just like little like things that make me feel kind of like girly and, you know, take care of myself. Like I nourish myself with good food. I like make sure that I have time for creativity, because I think creativity really sparks the feminine side. So like I make sure that I never take on so much work that I don't have time to be in a space where I can like think about the next thing that I want to create. And that was like a juggling act, I think, for a while, like to get into that balance, which is one of the reasons why I stopped teaching yoga, because it was like, oh, I don't have time to balance everything. And I also like super prioritize my relationship with my partner. So we say like our relationship is like our child. So it's like, you know, we nourish that relationship. We like put as much energy and love into growing that relationship as we would if we had a baby together. So our relationship is our baby. And my partner, Gabe, is very like masculine and like also super sensitive, but very masculine. So I find that really helps me when I'm with him to sort of soften into more feminine. And I do things around the house, you know, I'm like, I like to be like little Susie homemaker around the house. I don't know. I just enjoy doing that. I like to take care, like I like to nurture my partner. And so it really helps that he has that strong masculine energy as well, that where I feel very safe. So that allows me also to really soften into my feminine around him as well.
That's beautiful. Yay. And as a side note, you're still next to where I used to live, right? You're still living like you're in my past home. How is your beautiful space?
Oh, I love it so much. It's like it's just, it's like such a beautiful house. It's perfect for us because we both work from home a lot. So we each have our offices and they're next door to each other. And then downstairs we have all our living space. And that I think helps too, is like our house is zoned. Like when I'm in my office, I'm in boss lady mode. When I'm out of my office, I don't work downstairs in the living room. I never work in the bedroom. Like I make sure that I don't hang out in the bedroom in the day. Like the bedroom is for sleeping
only.
And for like intimate activities. You know what I mean? Like that's the boudoir. That's what that's about. There's no TV in the bedroom, you know. So I think it's like important if for someone who's like, well, I don't live in Bali, how can I do this? Is like think about zoning your space or zoning your time. Like, okay, this time of the day is this thing. And then I need to counteract that in other times. So if you're at work in your masculine and when you come home, like take a bath, do
Yeah.
something that makes you feel, you know, feminine, so that you can experience both those sides for yourself.
Totally. Such a good tip. That, yeah, that does so much. Even today, like I both of me and my partner, we work also online, like we can be anywhere, and we're often working together in a similar environments when we're in a cafe or something. But I'm aware of this as well. And today, like I was downstairs and he was upstairs. And then when I saw him, it was probably like an hour and I hadn't seen him, and he came downstairs and just like smothered me in kisses. And it was just so beautiful, because in that moment I felt that, like, that distance, and then that coming together, and that dance of like this sort of pull, and that seeing him again, it was like, no. And it's like it just but it allowed me to really tap into that work mode and not be aware of his presence, because we are, like, as feminine, we're very aware of feeling all of the things that are happening, and we could do it, but it doesn't make us effective at what we're doing as we could be, alone.
Exactly. And I think it's really important in any relationship to really like take that space for yourself, like whatever that looks like. And most couples don't like work in the same space, right? They'll be like, you go to your work, I go to my work, but that's not really, I don't consider that really taking space, like, because that's enforced space.
It's not a conscious
but it's like, right, consciously taking some space. So whether it is like going to a yoga class, or like just like going for a walk on your own, or something like that, that it's like you're allowing each other a sense of like freedom and individuality within your container. And when you work in the same space, like you do with Andrew and I do with Gabe, it's like you need to make that energetic, like, space, right? You're like, okay, we're in the same house, but you're in your thing and I'm in my thing, and we each have that sense of freedom and spaciousness in that. And then when you come back together, you're like, oh, yes, and that helps keep that fire going, because I think that when the fire goes is when there's like too much merging, like it's like, oh, you're my other half, and it gets into that codependent space, and that like really kills the passion in about 5 seconds.
Totally does. And it, just because we can harmoniously sit next to each other and work doesn't mean that's actually what would be beneficial for us. Like, we can be friends, but why are we with this person? It's more than friends. We're not just besties. We're here in an intimate partnership. So that has different sort of like energetic kind of boundaries around it than it would just working next to your friend. And I think the boundaries get blurred when we're not conscious of it. It's very easy to slip into that.
Absolutely.
Share with me again. You said you had a course coming up, because that's really soon. What is it again? It's online, so anyone can join, right?
Yeah, so it's for women. It's called Overcoming Obstacles to Love. So it's a 4-week group program. And this is for women who are really wanting to break the cycle of like bad relationships or relationship patterns that aren't working. So and for good. So we're going into like, what are the limiting beliefs? What are the fears that you have around love? Like, what are the unconscious ways in which you're blocking yourself from receiving love in all areas of your life? So receiving self-love, as well as love from a partner, as well as receiving in other ways, like receiving awesome opportunities, receiving financially, receiving like friendships. All these all tie in with love. So it's looking at overcoming all those obstacles, looking at where we're self-sabotaging, getting connected to like the feminine self, your sensuality, getting connected to your body, to your intuition, building your boundaries, like really getting into that space of deep trust. Like, a lot of women really struggle to trust their partner, or they've been hurt many times before. But the real truth of it is, it's like we need to learn to trust ourselves, right? So it's like developing that inner trust, so
Uh-huh.
that then you're able to see who's in front of you, instead of just getting swept up into like this relationship with this
Yeah,
person doesn't work out, that relationship with that person. So it's like getting that inner trust so that you can actually discern like where is a safe place for you to put your energy. And we're
exactly.
also going to be working on like overcoming the confusion and the doubt, so that you can get crystal clear on it, what it is that you actually want to create. And then the whole program is about aligning your actions with what you want to create. So it's a
Amazing.
step-by-step process. So I'm super excited about it, because
Yeah.
it's really, I wanted to make it like, this is what I feel like is what women over and over again, like working with like 1,000+ women, this is what women need, like over
Yeah.
and over again, this is what I hear. And so it's
Yeah.
like an easy to follow step-by-step process, guided by me the whole time. Like I'm showing up live every week to
Nice.
coach, so it's not like pre-recorded or anything like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, and it's like I made it like so affordable. It's only $500.
yeah.
So that, you know, because Christmas, New Year, whatever, but it's like 2020, new year, new decade, like time
Totally.
to let that heavy stuff like go. Let's get on with it, because like time is a ticket. So
Totally.
yeah.
How many
So
women
if
are you
anyone's
inviting in?
I'm
Got a
inviting in
cap?
20
20.
women. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's capped at 20,
Okay.
because I really want to hold like I want this to be intimate. This is about
Yeah.
also creating that sense of sisterhood,
I love
which
that.
I think is so missing for
Yeah.
so many women. And you know, and I know like how healing and empowering that is, to be around women that actually like uplift us, that inspire us,
Yeah.
that support us, who are on the same journey. So I want to create that for my women in this group. And I also want to be able to like stay on top of what's going on with everyone, and make sure that nobody's slipping through the cracks, that nobody is that everybody's getting like the support that they need from me to really like up level themselves. So if anyone's interested, they can just send me like a DM on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll be happy to give you all the
Yay! That's
details.
really exciting. And it's such a good time as well, of course, like the start of the year. And I love how we've got like parallels in our work. I have a course starting the same time, but it's very different. And like people have been hearing about that. So I'm not even going to share it here, but it's like harnessing that energy, that there is an inspired energy when the year starts, when the fresh calendar starts, you know. And I think people like can have two ideas of resolutions. One, full steam ahead in resolutions. Two, resolutions are bullshit. Stay away from them. We shouldn't be making them because like
Right.
that's silly. We can just do it at any time. But I mean, I would wonder how many of those people are actually doing the things anytime anyway. It's like it can really help us to just go with that collective energy of freshness that a new year has. It's a collective energy, like we feel it. The world is in this energy. And so to kind of ride that momentum and to do something where we're starting from us, I think is so important. I'm really conscious about how I start the new year, because it's just like, yeah, I'm riding this collective energy of freshness, and where in my life can I enhance it? And for you, it's this realm of relationship, whether people are in relationship already or looking for it, and this intimacy. And that's something that personally my work, it like affects and it goes into, but not in the depth and from the kind of expertise that you do, which is why I wanted to talk to you, because it's something that is needed, and we're needed in our different niches. And you know, I'm working with
Right.
different goddess archetypes, and I'm working with women who are a lot about, you know, handling their state of femininity with their work and with their personal lives. And then you're coming in with this depth of, you know, relationship and relating and receiving and being with another. And we need this, like all women need this. And all women need different women sharing their personal gifts. And I never see it as like competition as well, that, you know, we're offering similar things in a similar state, because it's not that. We have our different audiences, and our different audiences speak our like different dialect. It's the same language, but it's a different dialect, and that'll be received by the different people, and that's needed. Like the more women doing this work, the better, I think. And I just wanted to acknowledge that, and that's why I wanted to speak to you today as well.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And I think that that's like, it really ties in with that sisterhood idea, because there's like a lot of still like a lot of healing that needs to happen between women, where there's like this idea of competition, right? It's like, oh, like, you know, if you're doing this well, then that means I'm not as good, or there's not enough to go around, like that feeling of lack. Like it's like, oh, if you're successful, somehow I'm less successful, or if you get this guy, somehow there aren't any guys left. And so there's like this feeling that it's like well, only one person can have something. Like if you have it, I can't have it. And that's not how it works. Like energy is like a renewable thing, you know. It's like a renewable source. It's like money is a renewable source. It's not like there is this much and then no more. It flows. And when we start thinking about things as instead of in lack but as abundance, then it's like, oh, I can celebrate your success and your unique gifts and your unique energy and your unique message, and the women that totally resonate with that, and not feel like I'm missing anything, or I'm not doing it right, or I'm somehow losing out. And that's how we get stronger. And actually, when we like come together, it like really, it sparks more. Like I'm sure, like I'm feeling like way more creative in this moment, you know. It's like we're having this conversation that's going to spark so much for each of us to like go away and be like, ooh, how can I incorporate or weave in this thing or that thing in my work? And we do that in friendships too. Like when we start celebrating and uplifting each other, it allows, like, because sometimes, you know, your unique gift, you might not see it immediately, but someone else sees it. And that's where I think sometimes jealousy can come in. Is like we see someone else's unique gift, but if we're in that space of lack, then we feel jealous about that. But if we can feel in a space of like, wow, isn't that amazing, then we each help each other to rise up. Because I can like say, wow, Shay, this is your unique gift, and you're like, oh my god, yes it is, and your unique gift is this. And so together we're helping each other rise up. And I think that that's like super, super important for women to really focus on now. And I think that piece is also going to help women to get back into contact with their feminine selves, because whenever there is that pushing away of feminine in other women, like, oh, she's too sexual, or she's too this, or she's that, then we're pushing it away in ourselves also. And we can't be in our power if we can't see another woman be in her power either.
Yes, that's really powerful. And if like women can take away anything from this talk, it's just let each other rise, help each other rise. Like that's it. And you'll tap into your own power from witnessing power in another woman. And it's like, it's this beautiful cycle of giving and receiving.
Hi again, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this discussion as much as we enjoyed having it. We'll definitely do it again. I feel like talking with Amrita, everything just clicks and it's fun and it flows, and she had a lot to say. So I'm super grateful for her and also for you watching it. So again, if you want to stay in touch with both of us, then Amrita's details will be just on the next slide over. Her course starts soon, and for myself as well, you can find me at Claiming Feminine. But also, if you're loving these videos and you want to stay connected with more, then it really helps to subscribe, because that actually does really help us to share this message and for people to find this message. If you found value in it, another woman will. So that will be really really valuable for me and for other women if you subscribe and share it or comment, or just let it go out into the world, this message. Okay, speak to you soon.